I told you that we would go through various industries. This is Los Frailes tailing dam. It was a Bolivian property. I'm not disclosing anything confidential here. This is basically what happened to the share value of Boliden over a period that goes from 1999 to 2007. So it's a long period. We have cut away the long latency before the acute phase. I remind you that there was a dam failure, a tailings dam failure, which occurred in April 98. And we could discuss at length on when the latency started. My point would be to say that the latency started when they started designing the geotechnical campaign to study the foundation and of the dam. Others would say that it started when the dam construction started, but anyways, it's measured in years and years before the beginning of this diagram anyway. So again, latency, the acute phase, and then in this particular case, you can see years and years of slow return. And we have decided to set the start of the potential or the peace period here in 2006, but the shares still not had fully recovered their value in May 2007. All that to say that depending on the industry, and mining is a good example of this, crisis may last almost for the duration of the facility of the operation. Important, failure is not a single cataclysmic event. No one fails overnight. Failure is a few errors in judgment repeated every day. If you think about that, it applies so well to many mining accidents, from the tailing pipeline structuring to the major dam burst to sag mill problems to whatever accident you can figure out. It's generally not a sudden event. It's something that is dictated by a series of errors in judgment repeated every day. Want to talk about the economic recession that we've just gone through in 2009? Tell me this is not true. It's again few errors in judgment. Few doesn't mean small. It could be even huge, but a few errors in judgment repeated over and over, and finally the climax comes out, or the explosion of the crisis comes out as a sudden event, but it's only the consequence of something that has been preparing over a very long latency. Let's also talk about stuff that goes really well. This is a case study we have also inserted in our book. It's a well-managed crisis. Why do we say well-managed crisis? Well, look at the time scale here. This is not years. This is not days, months. This is hours. 11 a.m., 12 a.m., 1 p.m. This share value here, we use a share value as a meter of the crisis, again, is the share value of Apple. This happened, if I recall well, in May 2007 or something like that. What happened? A disgruntled employee decided to send off a mass email to the world saying that a specific product, I don't remember if it was software or hardware, would not come out on the market at the promised date because there were some problems. And of course, all the Apple devotees decided that this was incredible. Paradise was fallen apart, and there was somebody who actually started selling massively shares. The automatic systems detecting information flow in the web of Apple. Of course, they are a software company, so they're in a good position to have systems that actually work. Detected the beginning of this crisis, reacted by sending out immediate counter-attack, counter-emails, and as a result, in something like 20 minutes, the value of the shares was back to the preceding level. Now, this doesn't mean that somebody didn't lose a fortune and some other guys made a fortune in the process, but from a corporate point of view, stability was achieved. The crisis was extremely well managed. As you can see, we have put here latency as this, but actually we should have this all in green and have a microscopic latency because their system reacted so fast to the attack, if we can say so. So let's look at the industries at large. There have been people, Harvard School of Business, for example, that have been monitoring crisis readiness of Fortune 500 companies for roughly 20 years. And it's in two groups, the proactive companies and the reactive companies. And they came out with a summary. The summary is that proactive companies live longer, face less crises, do better in financial terms, and have a better corporate reputation. This is not us saying, this is a worldwide analysis of Fortune 500 companies. But by extending the summary, there is a big surprise. Extending the summary means that crisis-prepared companies suffer fewer crises, recover faster, and are more profitable. But the big surprise is that, and this is still the case today, only 5 to 25% of the Fortune 500 companies were actually proactive. That comes as a big surprise, and that's something that we see every day. We have a handful of clients that are actually extremely clairvoyant and extremely interested and pushing us to develop new methodology and go farther in our analysis, whereas a lot of clients are actually still in the reactive mode and hoping for the best. Let's think why this happens, because I mean, everybody always says, oh my God, nowadays after the crisis and everything, risk management should be great. Not even bankers are doing it seriously, by the way. They're covering themselves up with a lot of nice wordings. People can foresee the future only when it coincides with their own wishes. And the most grossly obvious facts can be ignored when they are unwelcome. Again, this is not us saying it. This is 1945 in Partisan Review by George Orwell. I would claim that not much has changed, despite a lot of blah blah and a lot of buzzwords used on the marketplace today since 1945, and that's really a pity. Why is it so? Because probably also consultants, we have a fault. And our fault is not to present risks in clear and transparent ways. So clients feel a sort of overwhelming syndrome. They get reports that at the end of the day they can't really use. Why? Because very often consultants themselves have kind of a blurred approach. We hear and we see a lot of people not using the proper glossary. There is not a proper glossary defined at the beginning of a contract, of a job with a client, despite the fact that there are nowadays well-defined glossaries in the risk management area that technically define every single words that should be used in this business.